I thought that starting a business was going to cost a lot. That was one thing that kind of put me off for a little bit. But the more I got into researching what the cost was for different things that I would need for an online business in particular, I realized it wasn't as much as I thought.
Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
Welcome back to Quilting on the Side. Thank you for joining us again. Today we want to do a bit of a deep dive into the expense portion of running a business, because we've been talking a lot about how to make money, the income side, with patterns and classes and long arm work and all the different ideas that we have there. But what's on the flip side? What have you learned about managing your expenses over the years, Tori?
I thought that starting a business was going to cost a lot. That was one thing that kind of put me off for a little bit. But the more I got into researching what the cost was for different things that I would need for an online business in particular, I realized it wasn't as much as I thought. And it was kind of exciting that it wasn't as much as I thought, because you can start very basic and then work your way up, which is nice.
Yeah. The world of e-commerce, online business, has a very low threshold to get started. You can put a pattern or something up for sale on Etsy for, I think it's 20 cents is the listing fee to create a description and start selling things on Etsy. So those expenses are very low when you first start out. But as you grow, what are some things that you have to start paying for that may or may not be on people's list as they start a quilt business?
So first you have to register your business, and that costs a little bit. It's not much. It's like in Arizona, it was $50. And it was, it was super cheap in Arizona. And then here in Detroit, it was a little more complicated. I had to register in different areas, and it got smaller and smaller. So I started statewide, and then I went countywide, and then I went citywide. And then made sure around the surrounding cities, because sometimes in surrounding cities, you also have to get a business license there so that you can sell there. So if I want to go to do a vendor event in downtown Detroit, I don't actually live in Detroit. I live in the outskirts of Detroit in a small city called Royal Oak. So I would need to get licensing for all of those areas to make sure that if I go vend, everything's covered. So that's one thing, is like work your way down from statewide to countywide to citywide. And those expenses, I think the most was $100. So it wasn't bad, but it does kind of add up there. So that's your first thing, is you want to get legally set, and you want to set those expenses. Like, you want to make sure you know exactly how much it's going to cost. And then setting up, now it depends on your business, obviously. Like you said, we could start with Etsy. It's free, pretty much. And then when you actually list something, that is when you're going to pay a small fee for listing it. And then every time somebody purchases that product, they're going to be taking some off the top. Again, something to keep in mind for your pricing is that Etsy takes a lot off the top. I'm not a fan of Etsy, but I do have a few patterns on there to take advantage of that audience, because I know that there are some great audience members. Like, they have my ideal audience, but I don't love Etsy. Okay, so aside from Etsy, so we can start with an online business. You're going to need a host for email. Now, your email can also include things like, and I do suggest having an email platform that does landing pages. And then you can start with the email provider and not worry about a website yet until you're ready for a website where you need more. So with a pattern design business, if you want to straight up just sell patterns, you can start with something as simple as picking your ideal email provider. Now, we're not talking about Google, we're not talking about Yahoo, we're talking about a email service provider. So that's somewhere where you can host you have a storage system for your emails, for all the emails that you're collecting. You have again, landing page. So that is a page where somebody is going to click on a link and it'll take you to a sign up form or an opt-in form where they can put their name, they can put their email, and they can get into your email list. Or if you're selling something, they can opt in to buy that product you're selling on that form. And then you can get pretty elaborate with landing pages just on an email. So if you're ready to do more, such as hosting a course, a workshop, you're going to need something a little more advanced than that. So that's when you can start looking at website hosts.
And there's two pieces to the website, because you generally buy your domain name, the actual link, the truebluequilts.com or quiltingontheside.com or quiltpatchbytori.com. That's your domain name. And that's a small fee, and there's lots of research about which names are available. And
then this year mine cost $32.
Okay. I think when I got quiltingontheside.com, it was $12.95 or something. So GoDaddy is the place I always check for that. And that does have to renew. So that will be a recurring expense. And then once you have the domain name, I usually go someplace else to do the actual website hosting. And I use SiteGround. Who do you use?
I use Wix.
Okay. So
yeah, it's still
there's lots of options
Wix does everything for me. Yeah. So what's great is that, like Andi said, you buy your domain. You can hear that it's not a huge expense for a domain, like $12 for one. I've got 3, and that's $32. That was a deal. And one thing I suggest for domains is buying some that are a few different versions of what you want. Yeah, so I have a few different versions. And then your email service provider can be free up to a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of landing pages. So depends on which one you go with, but usually you can start at free.
Mm-hmm.
So then again, you got your email service provider for free. You've got Etsy listing for free until you're ready to post. And then it's like a 20-cent fee. So it can be very easy to start. And then once you're ready to grow, you're going to look at websites. Now, the pricing for websites vary greatly depending on what you need, what you're looking for it to look like, what you're looking for, what to host on there. There are websites that you can start for free. And then when you want to host, let's say, e-commerce, you're going to need to pay for that plugin. Now, with some of them, they come already prepackaged that way.
A lot of quilt pattern designers use Shopify. So that's one service that's kind of an all-in-one. It creates its own website. So it sounds very similar to your setup on Wix. I started on WordPress, and so that's why I needed to go to a different hosting company that could incorporate this bigger blog and website that I had already set up. So again, it's one of those things. I'm not an expert. I'm not super techie. I can plug and play a little bit, but do your own research, and hopefully you're connected with a group like we are with the Quilt Pattern Designers on Facebook that shares resources and helps you with that research phase.
And you can usually get in and start designing a web page for free. They give you like a 2-week window where you can get in and see, is this what I need? Is this easy for me to use? Because there are some websites that will be more organic for you to use. It works well with your brain, whereas others will not. Now, they all work very similarly. There's nothing in here that's going to be drastically different. So it's really about personal preference and your price point. So when you get in there, test it out, see what they've got, and then see what you need. So I can speak to Wix because that's the one I've been using. I've set up 3 websites with Wix. And I just want to say that with a website, they usually, and I've heard this from other designers as well and other teachers, they have packages. So like with Wix, you can choose different categories. Now, some of the categories, they don't have everything you need. So you might need to move up. And they have extras that you don't really need. So that's one downside with Wix, is that they have categories. You have to choose one of 4, I believe. There might be 5 now because they've been upgrading different things. But you get to choose one category, and some things you'll need and some things you probably won't. They'll be a little bit extra, like just in the background for you. But they're still there if you want to change it. So for one thing, I could set up a free website with Wix with no cost. It's no cost to set it up. But if I want to sell something, I have to upgrade to a business plan so that I can accept payments. So once you accept payments, you move up. Now you're accepting payments. If you want to include, so let's say you're a pattern designer and you want to start teaching your workshops online, you're going to need to find a way to host that workshop, whether that's using the memory in your programs on your website. You'll have a limited memory. So you don't have to pay for a digital course setup every time you want to set up a virtual course, but you do have to keep in mind how much memory is coming with your website. So it can be as simple as having a hidden page where you have a video and you link the people who buy the workshop to that page, and the video plays when they get there. Or you can go a little bit higher. You can go to set up a full virtual program where you can set up plans. You can set up I have 2 programs right now. I've got the Quilt Patch Course Academy, which is a hidden page with a password. So they're going to go on there, and that course, the Quilt Patch Course Academy, is live. I teach it live. There is no recording until after the live class, and they can go in and reference it I usually give them 3 months to reference it. And then so that's one way. And then the other way is setting up a full-fledged program where I have the skill building block of the month, which has, I think, 12 lessons in it. I have to go back and look, but it has at least 12 different lessons in it. So it's not a series of 6 detailed workshops. It's a series of 12 that they can work throughout the entire year. So it's a completely different beast of a program. And then I have the DMMC, which is Digital Marketing Magic Community. And that has its own success path where we have 5 stages, and each stage has 9 lessons. So again, a completely different beast that you work through at your own pace, which could be months. It could take years, depending on how fast you want to move. So having that option of having either a quick setup with videos they can access for a short time, or a full program that they can go through at their own pace, are 2 different ways that you can host. And that's something to look at when you're looking at what website you want, is your needs. So we definitely need somewhere to host the course. You need somewhere to sell and accept payments for the course. If you want payment plans, that's something else you need to look at. Wix has its own payment plans, but they're all grouped together. So it's made to really have one program. So one thing I've had to do is kind of choose which one I'm going to put up there for now. And then one has to take a step back depending on what I'm doing at the time. Like my skill building block of the month, I'm phasing it out. It's no longer going to be available here in a little while. I'm phasing it out. So everybody who is still going through it, they still have a full year. As soon as that year is up, I'm going to ask if anybody wants to renew. And if no one does, I'm retiring that program. And then the DMMC, the Digital Marketing Magic Community, that one is being pushed forward. So all the plans listed on my website currently are going to be in regards to that. So it's all about, what do you need? And you are the only one who knows what you need. There's so many questions about this when you get into website design, about what pages do I need? What products do I need? What do I need to pay for? And it's really, what is your business model? And if you like it, if you like the website, do you like the way it looks? Do you like the way it works? If it's confusing, try another one, but pick one. You've got to pick one. After you've tried maybe 2 or 3, you're going to see that they're not going to be completely different. Pick one, stick with it for a bit and see if you can make it work. And then if it's not working for you, you can always move platforms.
But that was great information about the needs of a website in terms of being able to put your products up, have that payment system, and then decide what kind of additional capacity you need in terms of offering courses, because that's a whole separate beast. And as a perpetual student, I have experience on the student side with a lot of different platforms, and also the few times that I have offered courses, I've tried it a couple different ways as well. So there are a lot of different hosting options when you get into courses. Kajabi is a popular one that's very robust. And so there may be some overlap there. If you've already developed a website and then you decide on using a different platform for courses, they may try to offer you, web builder type aspects that you may or may not need. You may want to switch everything over. You may want to run 2 parallel programs there. So do your research. Circle is another option that has come up recently that I find very easy to maneuver and be a member of as a student. So that's a good resource there. And Teachable is one that I used because it's a little bit cheaper than Kajabi, or it was at the time that I ran my course. Who knows what the current prices are? Do your own research is always what we say to our audience. But there are a lot of options out there for hosting courses.
Keep in mind, the more you need, the more you're going to pay. And then watch that memory, because you can get something for really cheap, but you'll have like 5 gigabytes. You put in 2 videos and your memory's gone. So keep an eye on that memory, because that's something I've run into a couple of times with different people, is that their memory's used up and they can't put anything else out because they ran out of memory. Yeah.
So I'm just going to share a cheaper workaround that some people do is you can put a lot of things on Google and then use that link to give people, and your settings in Google can be access anyone with the link. So only the people that you have sent that link to should be able to view that document or that video or that page in Google. And using the unlisted feature on YouTube is another way to freely host video workshops, for example, or a video class, is because you can mark that video unlisted and then only send that link to certain people that have paid for the course.
And that's where you got to be a little bit careful, though. That unlisted link, they can share the link. They can share it. Most people don't. They keep their integrity, but that is something to keep in mind. And Google, I'm going to second Google. Google Business Suite. Google Business Suite has great memory. It allows you to set up shared drive. So me and Andi have a shared drive that we work with for quilting on the side. So I have my own business Google Suite, and then we have a shared drive that we can share different documents with. We can share ideas. We can share pictures, so that we're sharing the same things across all of our marketing. Like, that's been super handy, and it's pretty inexpensive. It's like $12 a month, I think, right now. It's when I started. I think it went up a little bit. It might be as much as $16 a month, but it's great. Like Andi said, you can have your patterns on there and share links, like especially for free patterns or your lead magnets to host there and help share the link there. You can have it to where you can block people from looking at the link. So that's something I like to send out with my workshops. So I'll send out the link to my workshops to specific people. You can assign emails to that link. So if they end up sharing it to somebody, that person with a different email cannot access it because you have not granted them permission. So that's one way to kind of help keep it secure.
Private and secure. Those are good tips. Since we're talking about expenses, and you can hear certain items, as Tori mentioned, with Google Business Suite, that's $12 a month. You're definitely going to want to track all these things, because it sounds great. Okay, I'm not making a lot of money, so I can afford $12 a month. But if you've got 5 other things that you're paying for at $12 a month, it starts to add up. So some 2 things that I would definitely recommend paying for are your Zoom account to be a professional level on Zoom, so that you can host a course or a webinar over that free 40 minutes or whatever their current limit is on Zoom. So pay for an upgraded account on Zoom.
Or a podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, we're doing our
podcast
on Zoom. And also pay for the pro version of Canva, because I do all of my graphic design in Canva. They have great templates for all the social media platforms. You're able to do pictures and video even now in Canva, and they have the AI generative help tools to help you create content. So those are definitely places that you want to spend money to get the upgraded access to the features of those programs.
So Canva is also great for teachers because you can also do slideshows. You can do books. I know a few pattern designers that have created their entire book on Canva and self-publish it through Amazon. So Canva can be a super handy thing. You can do worksheets on there. You can do so much slides. Like you get in there, you can see they have everything. They have like an Excel sheet even. They have templates for budgeting. They have templates for resumes. They have a template. I don't know how we would use resumes, but they have like everything under the sun in there, and it's easy to search and it looks beautiful. That's one thing, is that it is focused on getting you beautiful graphic design elements so that you can look more professional and communicate more effectively.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that their templates are already sized for the different platforms, because as a content creator, that's very frustrating to have to make something a certain size for the YouTube banner and then a different size for Instagram. And, is it going to be square? Is it going to be rectangular? All of those pixel sizes are preset in Canva, so you can just click and get started.
Yeah, my thing is, it going to be blurry? I don't want it to be blurry.
Right. Sometimes that's trial and error, but you can easily do that. So the other thing I wanted to mention with the expenses, and we know how these things can add up, and you always want to know how you're doing with what you're bringing in for income and what you're spending for expenses. And the way I track that is with some spreadsheets from Paper and Spark. She is a wonderful resource for anyone getting started in an online business. She is an Etsy seller herself and an accountant. So she knows the inside, back end view, and she can get you started with these tracking sheets. And that way it's really easy to plug in your expenses and your income. And she is linked out to PayPal and Etsy, so you can easily download the information, and she's got it all set up so that it fills out the spreadsheet and you can be aware of your accounting numbers. And it makes life really easy because you don't want to ignore the tax man.
No, definitely not.
So
thank you for sharing that. I might have to look at that. I have a basic one that I've created that I've been tracking with, so that sounds much easier.
Yeah, and she's got a lot of tutorial videos that go along with it. So a great educational resource, and we will have that information linked in the description and the show notes so that you can go check that out. But yeah, I highly recommend Paper and Spark. And one of the big things that she mentions and that I want to reinforce is that you need to act like a business. You're putting yourself out there as a business owner. So get the licenses, as Tori mentioned at the beginning, research and be educated on how to file and pay your sales taxes. It's not something that you can ignore just because you're a small, online seller,
Fortunately.
Yeah. Do the right thing.
Yes, definitely. I don't know about you, but I always set aside 10% of what I earn for taxes. So at the end of the year, and you can choose whether you want to file quarterly. I believe every 6 months is another option. And then at the end of the year, I always opt for end of the year, push it off a little bit. And then we just spend like an entire week doing both our income for our house, or not income, but our taxes for our household and taxes for business.
Again, so many different options. You can do the TurboTax thing. You can do.
Well, I've heard bad things about TurboTax, so I'm going to go ahead and say maybe not that one.
Right, just because I'm saying that because it's the most well-known brand for do-it-yourself tax information. But QuickBooks, in terms of a different tracking system, but yeah.
You can always set up appointments with CPAs too, and find out some basics to get you prepared and separating your receipts and getting things so that you're not like me and wait to do everything in 1 week. You can gradually get it ready. So it's nice and easy at the end of the year to turn in your paperwork and be more prepared. Our CPA is my uncle, and he is so nice.
Yeah, that's a good point. I tend to put things off as well. But a group of business owners decided to set aside Finance Fridays in their business. And they just, they know that Friday rolls around, whether it's every week or once a month, and they do their books. And that way they're on top of things. And you can keep things going.
I like to do it the hard way.
One other aspect of your business expenses might be a social media scheduler. There are lots of different programs out there. Tailwind comes to mind in terms of a place to program out your social media posts and get that plan in place. Is that something you use, Tori?
I could never get Tailwind to work. I tried to use it for Pinterest for a while, and I couldn't get it to link up. So I went ahead. I still use the free version from Facebook, Meta Business Suite, where I schedule everything in there. It's free, and it does Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I always like the free option as well. But that could be a potential expense for people if they are looking at somehow trying to streamline that and set it once and then let it auto post from there. And there are other options. New things come around all the time.
You mentioned paying for Canva. Canva Pro allows you to schedule too. Now I haven't quite figured out that one in detail yet. I've tried it a few times and it's worked well. I think that my only hang up was I couldn't post a carousel to Instagram. So that's something I have to look at again and see if it allows. But it does do single posts in Canva Pro.
Oh, so very nice.
It makes it easy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming up with new features all the time. So
yeah, Canva is growing. Like Canva is trying to be your one-stop shop for graphic design. So it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I want to pivot a little bit because we mentioned setting up courses in terms of being the instructor and offering courses, but keeping a budget item in your business for professional development and education and taking courses is also something you want to plan for. What have you found to be beneficial in terms of courses over the years, Tori?
Because I pivoted to more of the business side, I have found LinkedIn to be a very valuable resource. I'm paying that $30 a year, I think it is. And it was free for me for a bit for being a military spouse. So that was nice. I could test it out and see how well it was. And I like their bite-sized lessons. They come from industry experts that are on LinkedIn. So they want their name to be out there. They want to put their best work forward. So it's a great incentive. And it makes the classes bite-sized and easy to kind of go and find very specific things if you're working on the business side of things. So if you want to learn more about marketing, if you want to learn how to network better, if you want to learn about different aspects to do with the business. So that one is great, LinkedIn. And then I've also taken business courses. So one with Shannon Brinkley was my very first one. Her course was patchwork, and that's where we met, was in patchwork with Shannon Brinkley. And she is great for foundations. Like she covered everything you absolutely need to know about setting up your business at the very beginning. And she also talks through a couple different avenues you can take. There are others like for pattern designers, there's Elizabeth Chappell from Quilter's Candy. Quilter's Candy, where she offers one. I've heard great things about it, and everything that she gives out is really high quality. So that one's an easy look into that course if that's what you're geared toward, is pattern design. Hers is more specific to pattern design and then growing that as a business. And then I personally invested in a group coaching program, which I found immensely valuable, especially when I shifted gears a bit. And I have been learning from Rachel Rogers, who wrote We Shall Be Millionaires. I'm in their millionaire club, and it has been a blast. The community is amazing, but definitely if you need some support, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling like you had no idea where to go, you're overwhelmed, listening to this has you spinning in circles, you want to find a community to really help answer those little questions, help boost your to encourage you. You need that encouragement. Just the other day, I started launching something, and I almost took it down. I was ready to just be like, nope, not happening. Nobody signed up in the first 30 minutes. I am not doing this again, because it's hard as an entrepreneur to put your heart and soul into something. And I've spent a year developing and reformatting the Quilt Patch Course Academy and reframeworking it to make sure it is really what people need. And I put out a free thing, and I'm nobody signed up in the first 30 minutes. And I'm saying that after the fact. I'm get over it, Tori. It's 30 minutes.
Right.
But it broke my heart. I was just no, I worked so hard, and I've been trying to launch it in different ways, and nothing's been working, but it's been working now. After the first hour, I got my first sign up. Yay. And then now I've got 10. So I'm it's building. This is going to be great. We're still 2 weeks out from the event. There's time, but I put in a post in my community, and I was hey, this is what's happening. I am spiraling here, but I know I'm going to trust the process because I know this is what people need. And they boosted me up. I got tens of comments, and that sounds small, but 20, 30 comments of, you got this. You're doing it right. From the sound of it, you got it down. Just keep going. And it was amazing to have that support in that community. So that is something to invest in. Is not only am I getting education, I'm also getting a community. And we did find that with Patchwork while it was going and setting up those very basics, was just having that live course, going through it with everyone else in a cohort-based learning. That's what's so powerful, is that there's a community there. We're all boosting each other. We're working through it together, and we're building a community. And it's something to invest in, because it's going to come back into your business tenfold.
Yeah. And there's so many options out there. I'm sure if you've been on Facebook for 10 minutes, you've seen an ad for some new course or new community. So there is a lot of value in that. The danger in those type of things is that you can quickly spend many thousands of dollars and not recoup your expenses, because you're always in a course and you're never taking action and getting out there to sell your products. So I would say, since we're thinking about business expenses, get yourself on a budget and be strict to stay with that budget, so that those costs do not get out of control and eat up any profit that you may be making in your business. Because you want to be a business, you want to make money, and you have to track your expenses to make sure you stay in line with that.
And keep in mind that many of these communities and these courses, they offer free opportunities for you to come and learn, so that you can see what the content is like and what they are like.
Okay, we have talked about so many different factors that play into your business expenses. So hopefully you have gotten a little bit better perspective about what's involved. If you haven't yet started, we've given you a few avenues to continue researching and figure out what is best for you. If you would like to run a few numbers and see what the potential is there, we do have a income planning worksheet available, and we'll put that link in the video description. You can download that and play with some potential scenarios for your business. And let us know if you have any other questions or comments, what you have found most helpful as you start to track your business expenses. And if you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.